So what was it, 11 years ago, I made that video about the asbestos-filled buildings of IBM. They're all gone right now. I think that they're, I don't know, I'm gonna leave that stuff there. I don't know what they're gonna do with that stuff. They like to move all of this stuff out and take it to places like Fish Kill where they dig through it all, and I don't know. But there was furnishings and computer equipment and everything, you name it, and they just crushed it all up. This is the old Huron campus. But I promised you guys that I would come down and show you all the stuff that, all the buildings, the neat architecture and what they were doing. We all know that these emblems definitely do not articulate American patriotism as far as I'm concerned. I mean, this says the strength and splendor of our purpose swings. Rupert Brooke, 1941 to 1945. A lasting tribute to the members of IBM who served in the armed forces in World War II. Into the night and on the strength and splendor of our purpose swings. I didn't check this other side. I don't know if they're gonna write something inside there. The flag. Let's keep walking. I think I'm pulling my pants up. For all technical purposes, I think that this is private property. I don't know. Maybe. It probably is. I used to walk my dogs around here. International Business Machines, IBM. So that's one of the few IBM buildings left. And this is one of the nicer areas of town. My car over there. Let's go back though. So, if you guys recall from my very first video about this was a whole row of those buildings. They restructured those buildings to use them for Huron. And I can't remember the other company down there, but we also have 3M now, recycling batteries. And this is, see, International Business Schools. Those are all the IBM old buildings that are left up there still too. In this building. Here. Had many of work parties there. We're gonna go across the street because I want to see the great big hole they left in the ground. This is what they did. This is why, this is IBM, why my water's been browned like diarrhea for the last several weeks, you know. I don't know what they're gonna do with all of this, but it looks like they got all their cranes and backhoes and pumps and whistles and wizards out. Who knows? Who knows? But, you know, they're keeping some of the buildings nice because I believe they intend on making this a smart city. There are no smart city boxes on this, but there are over here. And the blue lights up here. I'm going to show you guys the smart city boxes though. Here. That's a public notice, so I guess I'll read it later. Like I was saying, they had all of the offices were still all set up, desks, filing cabinets, paperwork. They just backhoed that stuff all out and minced it down to gravel. And then they left it like that. But it isn't an ethical question or a question of what's right and what's not right. IBM, okay, you owe the residents of Broome County, especially here in Endicott, especially those of us living with brown water and toxic waste pumps in our basements, more than a little tiny percentage off of our electric bills every month. Okay? I don't know what it is going to be, but this is my documentation of the finality of this job that they did. So they weren't supposed to demolish that wall. I wonder why. I wonder what's in there. I don't know. It's very odd, right? Don't demo that wall. No demo of the wall. And the tunnels, into the tunnels. You guys? You know IBM had to have the tunnels. It's funny. My camera doesn't wanna focus in on that down there. Yeah, that tunnel definitely goes into the underground. Jeez. One can only imagine what kind of mosquitoes are coming out of that hole, eh? So this is the part of IBM that they preserved to use as the battery incinerating company, so that. And they're also, I believe, producing EV car batteries too. It is quite alarming that these people, they don't care about humans. They don't care about, the brotherhood of man and all of that stuff. So the train still runs through here. There's the machine that they've been using. That machine right there, that blue machine, that's like the wood chipper. Or no, that's not the wood chipper. That is the foam that they've been blowing. The foam they've been blowing everything to keep the toxic dust to a minimum. I'm sure that a lot of this can explain why my fingernails are peeling and I'm losing my hair and I have absolutely no appetite and my anxiety is through the roof. I don't sleep anymore. All of the food tastes funny. But, you know, then also, speaking on the food, we all know what the food in the United States looks like. Oh, look at the really old satellite antenna. Steam. So they're still doing something in these buildings, you know? That's the type of steam that I shouldn't be breathing in, probably. The way that I see it is if they're gonna poison us, I'm gonna document it. All right? 10 minutes. I told you guys I would walk over to the other parts of the building. They still have that walk across, so I guess they're gonna maintain this building, but they've insulated this floor, so obviously whatever's in there reminds me of the nuclear sites where the spent pools are. See the black mold on the building? The whole town really looks like that. It's actually quite sad because these companies took their money. They sucked all of the life and blood out of the people who worked their asses off to try to give their grandchildren. I mean, think about it, you guys. 1954 isn't really that long ago, you know? I mean, it's really not. So, I mean, they're still proud of their great accomplishments of making all of their own families generationally wealthy till the end of time. But what about all the little guys, you know? I want to know, what about all of the people who built it? That's my question. It's my real question. One of the things that keeps me up at night. So honestly, this side of Endicott is relatively all right. Oh, look at it. That is one of the places that had offered me a job, or at least an application to fill out. I don't want to sit in these buildings, you guys, for 8 to 11 hours a day under the fluorescent lights. You know, you guys just saw all of the installation in the building. You know, yuck. So, as I was saying, the majority of this part of town is okay, you know? It's all right. The houses aren't that bad, but I can tell you this, nobody can afford the rent. A place like that right there run you $1,100 for a 2-bedroom and driveway. Like I said again, this is one of the safer, nicer sides of town. When I moved to Endicott, I moved to Endicott in November of 1989. November 1989. And I pulled into town, and it wasn't this town, it was 2 towns over into Binghamton. Binghamton, New York is where the Twilight Zone came from. Most people at this point probably don't even know what the Twilight Zone is. But the Twilight Zone was a television miniseries that ran on public television for a very, very long time. It was basically about what it said, the Twilight Zone. Odd and creepy things that, happen, and science fiction, aliens and paranormal, and just all kinds of strange, out of this world kind of stuff, Rod Serling was born in Binghamton, New York, at the hospital that I delivered all 3 of my children. And he went to high school here in Binghamton. I believe he also went to the Binghamton University. I know that he shipped off to California or wherever he went and became a cultured dude, He became a cultured dude. But anyway, we're coming up now on the back of where they did all of that demo work. Slightly quieter. And again, like I said, this is a nicer part of town. I do want to take you guys eventually to the area of town where the house that I wanted to buy was. It breaks my heart. It looks like, I don't know, maybe somebody had a methamphetamine operation going in there and there was a fire, but all of the houses are condemnable, if at the very least. Another IBM building. They don't like us out here filming stuff. I don't really care though, because IBM, you owe us big time. You owe us fucking big time. Alright, the reason why you owe us is because you bled all of the money out of our town. You made huge promises. People relocated their families generationally, believing that they were working their asses off to give the next generation a better life. Okay? And this is what all of their hard work turned out to be. Okay? All of their hard work. Look at these parking lots. These parking lots are basically exactly what the roads look like. Okay? All of our roads look like this. I have put at least $4,000 into the suspension of my car over the last 8 months, just trying to keep my car on the road so I can make a living, so that I can feed myself and my dogs and my family. Okay? And IBM, they left a catastrophe here with no money and a lot of poverty I had a conversation with somebody that I knew that is a very hard worker. He is now washing dishes. He's homeless, living down by the river. He said that he got arrested 5 days ago because he was picking cans out of a dumpster, and I can't remember what the charge was, but it was something like removing something of value from somebody's property. It wasn't trespassing, and it wasn't stealing. It was some pumped up fake charge that they're making up so that they can act like the Nazi Gestapo around here. And I'm sorry, but I'm not going to hold back, because that is exactly what they act like. Okay, we are living in an us against them mentality here in upstate New York. And, you know, it's quiet. Everybody's quiet. Everybody wants to be positive. Think positive. Yeah, well, you know what? I'm positive that somebody needs to put their foot down, because what is our city council doing about making sure that there's going to be compensation for the direct ramifications on people's health from this demolition that they did? Okay, that stuff was free floating into the air for months. Since the last snowfall, okay, they demoed this place. Months. Like I said, I'll have to insert a picture of my drinking water at home, which is obviously not drinking water. But at this point, we can't even shower in it. And it's just disgusting. But like I said, here's one of the roads. Oh, there, another one that is sticking around just long enough to milk whatever they can from the town. The other thing is, it smells bad too, you know, and nobody can afford the, you know, repairs and, you know, the upgrading of their properties. In fact, they made taxes so unreasonably high, and if you can't find a job, how are you going to pay the taxes on your house? Okay? They know exactly what they're doing, and I know exactly what they're doing too, because they are taking things away from people that isn't even fucking theirs. And excuse my language, but I feel extremely frustrated and angry about how my town, no, and the thing is, the craziest thing about this is I'm not even originally from this town. I chose to raise my kids in this town because I thought it was beautiful and it was thriving, and there were lots of jobs here when I first came. When I first moved here, there were plenty of jobs. Okay, this is the roads. This is the roads. This is the town. I really want to take you guys into downtown and show you how derelict all of the buildings are. The homeless people are sort of out of sight, out of mind kind of situation. They're doing a good job with that, but keeping people out of sight, I mean. They watch us, you know, they watch to see who's paying attention, what's going on. They don't put any money into the town though, you know. I'm almost ashamed to admit it, but I participated in the voting structure of this society because I thought that that was a civilized, participating, mature thing to do. But I think it's to just keep people subconsciously feeling as though they are involved and they are making decisions about their community and the state of it if they're allowed to vote. But the reality of it is that is all just a great big sham. Voting. Now I wanted to discuss this area because they've removed a couple of them, but It looks to me like they're pumping oil out of right here, this area, okay? I mean, they definitely look like little pump houses, okay? So whatever it is they're pumping out of there, or were pumping out of there, they sure as hell don't talk about it. But I'll tell you what, if they're pumping oil, or they were pumping oil out of Endicott over here, and they're benefiting from it someplace else, the residents of Broome County are technically the ones that stuff belongs to. Okay? Technically the ones that belongs to. But I mean, don't those look like oil? Right? Black. That's what I always thought. Black meant oil. These are little pump houses. There used to be a lot more of them. You can see the little spots. But I don't think anybody's paying attention to them anymore. They probably sucked them dry just like they did the rest of the town. But we're back to where we started, basically. And yeah, I'm going to post this on my YouTube channel to part 2, my original video where I was saying that IBM really needed to take care of those buildings and get rid of the eyesores. They didn't do it the way I thought they would do it. I mean, back in the day, OSHA used to come in. There used to be all kinds of hazmat protections, and you know, they kept the community safe, or at very least they pretended to keep the public safe, but this time they didn't. What? Trying to crash? Keeping track? So this is IBM, even though it says it's a Huron building. It is originally an IBM building. But these are the nicer streets, you know, which is crazy to me. But, and like I said, I drive around all day long, door dashing. Another situation where we're being highly taken advantage of. Those companies, all of the gig companies, what they did was they moved into our towns. They gave us these opportunities where there was none, and everybody, you know, took it very professionally, and they did very good jobs, and they were making very good money, okay? Reasonable. What was deserved? I'm not going to say that it was outrageous. What it was sustainable. It was fair. It was financially intelligent. But then, just like everything else, they sucked a whole bunch of people in, got them all into the gig system, and then they started dropping people's pay, you know, making it harder, further, less money. Absolutely ridiculous. You know, just they know what they're doing. They know what they're doing. They're sabotaging us. They're doing it on purpose. They know what they're doing. They're making it impossible for us to be able to fight back against them, because, you know, if you don't have power of words and you don't have any money, then you're basically screwed. So that is what happened to the original buildings of IBM. Thanks for watching. Please like, sub, share, and come back.